Alright, YouTube, how y'all guys doing? I'm back. Uh, Sorry I didn't upload yesterday. I was very busy. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had 2 appointments. I wasn't feeling well. I was having problems with my ear yesterday, and it was hurting me, and um, I had to go get it checked out at the doctor, and then I was there until about like 4 o'clock, and then I came home and I just wasn't in the mood to upload yesterday. I kind of took yesterday off and wasn't really doing a lot, so I just kind of decided to chill. And I didn't do much yesterday, so that's why I didn't really upload. But we got a lot to go over today. Um, we're gonna go over the news from yesterday, and I got some more DSP stuff to do, and the Game Awards is tomorrow, so I'm probably gonna be streaming that. And yeah, so I'm sorry about not uploading yesterday. I was busy with other stuff, and I had a long day, so I ended up going to bed early yesterday. And I was kind of just not in the mood to do much yesterday, so we'll go over and see what DSP's up to, and go over the news and other stuff. So, let me see. He played Black Ops 7 yesterday. Apparently he rage quit it and Tormented Souls 2, so he's going to do that. And we have a lot of stuff to go over since I've been gone. So they announced the PS Plus games catalog for December. Lego Horizon Adventures, Killing Floor 3, Neon White, The Outlast Trial, and Synduality, Echo of Ada. Alright. Oh boy. Um, So let's see. Oh, Mega Bonk, Mega Fail, and Christmas Special. Oh boy. We'll do that in a minute. Let's see. So, I don't know what that means, but this app can't run this version of this on my PC. I don't get why it says that shit. Alright, I guess we'll go over the news first and then we'll get to, DSP, so, let me see here. Alrighty, so it says U.S. frustrated with Israel's attacks on Syria as Tel Aviv claims war inevitable. Israel media claims Tel Aviv is preparing for an Iranian-backed October 7th style attacks from Syrian territories. Watching Syria from Tuesday, Israel's diaspora minister Amici Chikalia said that the war with Syria has become inevitable. His comment came from videos showed movements of Syrian army forces close to Israel. Positions in southern Syria's Quneitra, which Israel referred to as a security threat. Israel's media also shed negative light on the Syrian army parade, during which many soldiers were heard expressing support for Gaza but killing Israelis. Edith Arthur Aharonoth and Meraviv newspapers also released reports claiming Israel is preparing for a potential surprise attack from Syria similar to Hamas operations Al-Qaza fled on the 7th of October 2023 with the ground invasion from Syria. Israeli army assessments indicate the possibility of 40 plus vehicles continuing to cross the border from two or three points inside Syrian territory. Iran is working through armed groups to prepare for a large-scale attack from southern Syria aimed at opening a new front against Israel. Hamas proposes long-term ceasefire if Israel fully withdraws from Gaza. Palestinian movement says ceasefire would hold for 10 years and a military wing with various weapons if Israel pulls its troops out and mediators guarantee compliance. A long-term truce or peace for 7 to 10 years. Very interesting. Keep an eye on the 7 years part that will be utilized in 2026. Hamas has told its mediators to prepare to freeze all offensive operations against Israel from Gaza for 7 to 10 years, and it is prepared to bury its weapons if Israel forces fully withdraw from the Gaza enclave. The official said the offer was presented to Egyptian, Qatar, and Turkish mediators in Cairo last week. The offer represents what he describes as a substantive move by Hamas intended to give momentum to the next phase 2 of the ceasefire negotiations. Hamas is offering a guarantee that no weapon will be fired from Gaza against Israel and will do that by burying the weapons. The official said his offer to establish a Hanana Islam word to describe a long-term truce for 7 to 10 years between Gaza and Israel, and Hamas will not use the weapons. Sounds to me like the 7-year covenant. That's what it sounds like. 7 to 10 years. It's really interesting, man. Australians under 16 now banned from social media. Australia has officially banned social media accounts for children under 16. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced Wednesday morning. Here are the social media absolutely banned for children under 16 in Australia. Australia just pulled the biggest digital timeout in history. Anyone under 16 is now banned from using TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, Threads, Twitch, and Kick. This is forcing everyone over 16 to do a facial scan to be able to access these apps. In other words, the digital ID and biometric scanning they're starting to enforce it across certain places. Platforms set to prove users' ages with ID checks or facial scans to even access these apps. The rule was pushed by eSafety Commissioner Julie Grant, who says it's time to protect kids from the mental health fallout and online predators flooding their feeds. Apps like Discord, Roblox, WhatsApp, and YouTube Kids are exempt since they're mostly used for gaming or family chats. Now the world is watching to see if the kids can actually live offline. That is crazy. And the fact that they're starting to push this just goes to show that we are very close to something happening in the next year or two with this stuff, with digital ID, age verification, checking, and all that. It's just nuts. Sounds to me just like Revelation. Okay. So I missed it in life.
One second when I lock myself back in because their service is terrible. Try again.
Netanyahu is returning to the U.S. for fresh talks with President Trump and will meet him at Mar-a-Lago on December 29th to discuss Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. Probably they're going to discuss how they're going to do phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan too, because they're considering trying to work out the Gaza phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan. This will be Netanyahu's 5th trip to the USA. This year for direct discussions with the president. Channel 12 reports that Netanyahu's visit will span 8 days and include 2 meetings at Trump's Florida estate. This will be Netanyahu's 5th trip. Okay. This will be Netanyahu's 5th visit to the United States in 2025 to meet with Trump for prior meetings in the U.S. plus one additional meeting with Trump visit Israel in October 2025, making a total of 6 face-to-face encounters this year. However, there's this frequency having 5 U.S. visits leading to meetings between the Israeli Prime Minister and U.S. President in a single calendar year is highly unusual and rare. No other Israeli prime minister has ever had 5 to 6 in-person meetings, let alone 5 U.S. visits resulting in meetings with a U.S. president in a single calendar year. Bubba says, you won't see this on CNN, but you know who is seeing this, Israel. Khaybar was a 7th century massacre of Jews. Qadisiyah, Islamic conquest. These are the chances the forces of the West have spent the last year marketing as moderate. Giuliani has visited the White House every day. Everybody from Trump to Europeans have welcomed him into their clubs as if he's the new cool kid on the block. So something has changed with Giuliani, at least publicly. The 1-year anniversary of the conquest of President Bashir al-Assad seems to have lit a fuse. Something much bigger is coming soon. I'm watching for a flare-up against the Druze, with Israel having to step in and move in to Syria. That won't make Giuliani happy. Following the anti-Israel chants in the military parade in Damascus, a Syrian source close to Giuliani revealing more that Israel is creating an enemy here. Israel's Minister of Diaspora and combating anti-Semitism started war is inevitable with Syria. Israel has a new front coming. Syria. Though he chose Giuliani not to eventually turn his weapons on Israel, this weaponry suddenly being displayed as clearly to be used against 3 fronts: Kurds, Druze, and Israel. After Arafat, Israel understands a timeless truth. You can shave the beard and wear an Armani suit, but once a jihadi, always a jihadi. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. You really don't trust Giuliani, he will turn his weapons on Israel. Can a leopard change his spots? These videos are purposely released by the General Security Forces of Syria's jihadist regime sells the soldiers marching in Damascus calling for an invasion of Israel. Gaza, our rallying cry, victory and steadfastness night and day. We rise against the enemy, we rise from mountains of fire, we make our way. From my blood, I forge my ammunition. From your blood, rivers will flow. Is it just me or people groupings getting into place for Psalms 83:8? Syria has joined with them in Isaiah 17, 1-14 Damascus war. Jeremiah 49, 23-27 also discusses what happens to Syria by Israel. Syria's new ruler, Abu Muhammad al-Giuliani, continues to speak about uniting the country while asserting full command of the Syrian military. This is a true vision for Syria's future by Giuliani. What and who is the Syrian army uniting around? What Israel, Jews? Giuliani's speaking shows true colors. He suddenly changed. Syria's soldiers recorded chanting phrase referencing a historical massacre of Jews. This isn't resistance, it's genocidal hate dressed up as politics. Senior Israeli defense officials held intensive consultations to assess the implications of Giuliani's troops chanting against Israel and Jews. Israel is preparing concrete steps and will deliver a forceful message to the Syrian regime, demanding an immediate condemnation of its soldiers' conduct. Security officials say we treat the Syrian regime with total suspicion. This government has a deeply extremist jihadist character, and we have no illusions about who they are or who they really are. Footage shows Syrian army under Giuliani's command chanting Khaybar, Yehud, who Jews, the army of Muhammad, will return. The new Syrian army is essentially Al-Qaeda fighters rebranded. Israel will eventually have to deal with this threat. Israel will eventually have to deal with this threat, and when that happens, the West will accuse Israel of destabilizing another poor innocent country. Hamas official says Gaza's truce can't move to phase 2 due to Israeli violations. Senior Hamas officials said Tuesday the U.S.-backed plan for Gaza cannot proceed to phase 2 as long as the Israel violations persist. Hamas political bureau member Sam Badran called on Egypt, Qatar, and the USA to pressure Israel to complete the implementation of the first phase of the ceasefire agreement. Under the terms of the deal, Palestinian terror groups made to release the remaining 48 living and dead captives held in Gaza. 47 hostages have been returned, but the remains of one deceased hostage, Police Master Sergeant Ren Javeli, are still being held in this trip as efforts to find the body have come up short. Netanyahu and Trump have both recently suggested that the ceasefire will soon progress to its phase 2, including Hamas disarming. Hamas has refused calls to disarm. Netanyahu vowed that Hamas would be disarmed, repeating a phrase he's used multiple times when discussing disarmament. "We can do it the easy way or the hard way," he said, but in the end it will be done. Israeli sources describe the Lebanon forces very weakened and unable to fully execute the disarming task of Hezbollah, particularly because it avoids entering private homes used by Hezbollah for military purposes. Israel's military has expressed serious doubts that the Lebanese army forces LAF will not meet the end of month December 31st deadline for the first phase of disarming Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. The original timeline was announced earlier this year by the Lebanese government and the USA. The Lebanese army avoids entering private homes and properties used by Hezbollah for military purposes, limiting the effectiveness of the campaign. The official also highlighted major concerns about ongoing coordination between some Shiite officers within the Lebanese army and Hezbollah, a situation Israel says is monitoring closely. The official told I-24 News that if the LAF's progress is too slow, the IDF will change the manner in which it strikes Hezbollah. So, let's see what else you got. Trump says the U.S. forces in the Caribbean Sea have seized a Venezuelan tanker.
Well, thank you very much. It's been an interesting day from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and we'll be talking about that later with some other people.
U.S. officials have now confirmed that following a boarding operation conducted by the U.S. Coast Guard, a Venezuelan tanker was seized in the Caribbean Sea. U.S. forces have intercepted and seized a sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, according to people familiar with the matter. The Department of War announced the launch of Google Cloud Gemini for government as the first of several frontier AI capabilities to be housed, the future of American warfare. A short while ago, 2 U.S. Navy FA Super Hornets with Strike Fighter Squadron 213 VFA Um, 213 assigned to carrier Air Wing 8, CVW 8 on board the USS Gerald R. Ford. CVN 78 were flying over the Gulf of Venezuela, roughly 20 miles from the coast of mainland Venezuela. Basically, the Hornets were flying inside Venezuelan airspace with all pings on as a show of force. IDF confirms that Iran resumed mass production of ballistic missiles. Hamas will not disarm. IDF is preparing for phase 2, which means physically removing Hamas from its weapons. The U.S. president was selected as the character to be burned with the devil in Guatemala as part of the annual tradition to put all bad things behind them before Christmas. There are some people surrounding President Trump, like Marco Rubio, who are secretly pushing regime change